The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise now has a total of 11 different games that create a deep and complex story. And most recently, Studio Studios just announced the newest game to the franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic, and alongside this announcement, we just got our first teaser and our first look at the Mimic. And even more recently, we just got our first look at the gameplay of Secret of the Mimic from a demo that fans were able to enjoy and experience. We also just got our first look at the Mimic's design alongside this demo, so in this video, I'm going to go over every single detail and aspect that was revealed in the gameplay, and I'm also going to theorize what the rest of the game will possibly look like. So let's go over our first look at Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, a demo for Fnaf Secret of the Mimic was revealed in PAX West, and alongside this demo, we got our first look at the official gameplay for Secret of the Mimic. Now, although there isn't any footage of the gameplay since recording wasn't allowed, we still have a detailed description of what this game looked like thanks to the fans who had the chance to play the demo. So let's start to go over these gameplay details and theorize what the rest of the game could look like. But first, let's quickly look at our first look at the official design for the Mimic. Now immediately it's clear that the Mimic will be wearing a clown costume like we saw in the teaser trailer, and based on this photo it looks amazing. The face show looks very similar to Ennard's face show, and even the party hats are very similar. The Mimic will have accents of red highlights on his face, his bow tie and buttons, and on his hair. And he also has these long orange arms with white gloves. It's also worth pointing out that the Mimic doesn't have legs with this design, which matches his exact design in the books, as the Mimic's creator made him without legs. So it looks like this game will follow or will be very similar to the book's origin of the Mimic. And although this design feels very similar to some of the other animatronics we've seen throughout the franchise, it still feels unique and has already solidified itself as a terrifying design. But moving on to the actual gameplay, now let's go over every single detail revealed, starting with the levels. We first learned that the demo has two different levels, a level focused on the manager's office and a level focused on being chased. It's also first revealed that the gameplay is styled as a free roam VR game, where you can play the game in VR but you're able to move freely using the joysticks. And the gameplay is heavily compared to Hello Neighbor VR, but most importantly, we learn that the demo takes place in a toy factory. Now this is not where many fans expected the game to take place, as originally fans including myself thought it would take place in a carnival. The same carnival we learned that Fall Fest took place, which was a carnival in the Fnaf world that takes place in the early 1970s. But now we know this game will take place in a toy factory, and although this wasn't expected, the setting does sound interesting and a lot could be done with a simple toy factory, especially with the Mimic. Moving on, we learn that there isn't much connection to the other Fnaf games, except for Fredbear Family Diner posters from Security Breach that are on the walls, and a schematic for what appears to be a mascot version of Mr. Hippo. So it looks like Fnaf Secret of the Mimic will explore the mediocre melodies and their origins, and it's also possible they might show up somewhere else in the game in the form of mascot animatronics. Looking at the level in the manager's office, it starts with the player exploring the manager's office in the toy factory. There you find a wall is broken, which leads to a secret room. There you find the music box from the teaser trailer and you begin to wind it up. Then you are finally introduced to the Mimic as he pops out of the music box, but it's not clear why the music box was in this room. Then you open another door in the manager's office, which leads you to a hallway, which then leads you to a mail room featuring an NPC sorting the mail that is very similar to a staff bot from Security Breach. And because this game takes place in 1979, as we learned from the teaser trailer, it's interesting to think of Fazbear's Entertainment having such advanced technology in such an early state of the company and in time. But we don't get a specific description for what the staff bot looked like. Then we find a generator which is powering a door, and as the player is activating the generator to open it, the Mimic comes through the door and begins to cause chaos in the office. And it's pointed out how the animation for this segment is really good. With the door now open, you go inside the room to try and hide an event, but it falls through, and this is where the manager office level ends. Now although this is a very quick level, we still learn a lot, as now we know the game will take place in a toy factory, we learn how this game will be slightly connected to other games and characters, and we also learn small details about the Mimic and his music box, so it sounds like a great level that actually reveals a lot. But moving on to the chase level, it's assumed it takes place right after the office level, but in a deeper area of the facility. Here the Mimic begins to trail behind you until you reach an elevator. You activate the elevator and this begins the real chase. The chase is compared to chases from Poppy's Playtime, where the Mimic's arms are slamming into the walls from your left and right side. You then escape through a vent where you reach an area where you need to pull levers and complete small tasks. You are successful in escaping the Mimic until the Mimic climbs through a hole in the floor and finds you. You then escape into another vent while the music from the teaser trailer, which is a remix of the Puppet's music box, plays. The level then ends with the Mimic finding you in the vent and it falling through again. Now this also might seem like a quick level, but I think this was a great opportunity to showcase the Mimic and just how much of a threat he really is, especially since the Mimic is constantly able to find us. And we learn how the player will go deeper into the toy factory, which I think is another great idea. It's even possible that that the toy factory will have different layers as the game goes on, similar to Ruin, and as the player finds each layer or floor, we'll learn more about the mimic and where he comes from. And we finally learned a lot more about the gameplay, as it sounds like it's going to be a combination of Security Breach and Help Wanted, especially since we learned that the jump scares are just like those from Security Breach, while the gameplay and mechanics are similar to Help Wanted and its sequel. So it sounds like this game will take the best elements from those games to create a terrifying experience featuring one of the franchise's most infamous villains, the Mimic. Now overall, this demo just made me that much more excited for this game's release, especially since we also got our first look at the Mimic and how he's going to be a real threat to the player and the toy factory. We'll also finally learn more about this branch of Fazbear's Entertainment, one that isn't supposed to be a place for kids to have fun with the animatronics. It's a place that holds secrets while all being connected to the Mimic. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video where I go over the gameplay revealed from the Fnaf Secret of the Mimic demo. So what do you guys think? Is this what you were expecting for the gameplay, and are you guys excited? So make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you guys so much for watching.